Hey, feasters, and welcome to episode 99. Oh, just one away from 100. And today we've got a great show about setting boundaries around the work you do and how you can get the mindset to stick to it. Ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Ask Rezzz podcast. I'm Jason, and I'm here to help you get past those bumps in the road, those struggles, those things that hold you back from building an amazing and profitable freelance business each and every single day. And today's question comes from Denise in the Sustainable Freelancer Facebook group. And if you aren't a part of that group yet, go ahead to Facebook and type in Sustainable Freelancer and you'll find us. Join almost 500 other freelancers building a better business. And her question is how do you set the boundary of work you do and work you don't do? And then she adds a little bit more to the question in saying, especially when before you've always been doing that work and saying things like, yes, I can do it, or I'll figure it out. How do you get into the way that you just stick to one kind of work? Setting boundaries around the type of work that you do is at the core of what niching down is all about. It's very much a mindset that you need to get yourself into. The best way to force yourself into that mindset is tracking your time with everything you do. Even when you're thinking that you're doing just one thing for a client that takes 10 minutes, I'd be willing to bet that that task took 15 or 20. This directly eats into the overall profits of the business because it's not what the client hired you to do. When you track your time, you start to see where all the minutes of the day go. And if you start seeing more and more minutes going by way of eating into your profits, you're going to stop doing all of the work that you weren't hired to do. Specializing your business means not just focusing on a particular client, but it means to focus on the type of work that you do. I ran a Twitter poll a few months ago and asked, who would you rather be, Larry Bird or Danny Ainge? It was a landslide victory for Larry Bird at 92%. I ran this same poll on Instagram as well, and Larry unanimously won with 100%. Now, much respect to Danny Ainge, who honed his craft in two sports and reached both the NBA and Major League Baseball. He played pretty well in both of those places too, and is widely recognized as a good, well above average player. But he was never the best. But Larry Bird, on the other hand, concentrated all his efforts on basketball and became the Hall of Fame legend that he is. It's hard for most to set these boundaries, but to be profitable and to be able to optimize the business processes, as well as be better at pricing, you have to reduce the number of variables in the work. You do that by setting these boundaries, which is really just reducing the scope of work that you do. Here's a hint. Anytime I hear that a client wants me to go off and use a different technology that they went ahead and signed up for, or that they want me to do design or social media work, I literally picture in my head a stack of money on fire. As a business owner, I'm sure you've heard the expression, just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should. Owners hear this especially when they start learning about delegating tasks to other folks, but it applies very much to this as well. Sure, I can develop in Rails and Java and work in Infusionsoft and MailChimp, and I have in the past, but I decided to stop taking on those projects. Why? I've found for the clients that I serve and the solutions that they need, WordPress, Drip, and ConvertKit works much better. Over time, I've learned the ins and outs of these platforms and been able to solve problems for clients in ways that those companies didn't even know could be done. Had I not focused on these platforms, chances are good that I wouldn't have gotten this deep with them and become an expert in them. Let me give you another example. When I was a generalist developer, I would spend 3 to 6 months working on a Ruby on Rails project, then bounce from that to a custom PHP project for the next 6 months. And then after that, back to a Rails project. By the time the PHP project was done, the middle one, oftentimes there were new versions of Rails out, so I'd have to go learn what changed. Rails was a very fast paced technology and still is to this day, so there were tons of new gems and bits of software and tools to catch up on. I would constantly be chasing my tail in this cat and mouse rat race technology cliche just to keep up. I wouldn't have given myself a chance to dive deep into any of the inner workings of either of those technologies. But most importantly, I wasn't becoming an expert and learning the ways of how to best optimize the project builds, the deployments, the project support, and most of all, the business itself. With the constant relearning of new things, rarely did any two projects go the same way. Project estimates were not as confident, and I was almost forced to charge hourly rates. Value based pricing always seemed like a far fetched pipe dream that I'd never reach. Setting boundaries is easy, but keeping them and not falling back into old habits is hard. I'll give you that. But if you keep falling back, the business won't move forward, you won't move forward, and your profits will just go up in flames. If you have a question, ask Rezzz. That's me, by leaving me a tweet, an email, or go to askrezzz.com and go to the bottom right chat bubble and leave me your question there. Also, the Ask Rezzz show is now on Spotify. So if you're a Spotify subscriber, go on there and search for Ask Rezzz and subscribe there too. Until next time, it's your time to live in the feast.